organic good food. Change your food, change your life. Change is good, good is right. We're taking it to a whole nother level. Organic food is the cure to love and life. Yeah. We take good living to a whole nother level. Come on and go with me. Change your food, change your life. Don't you wanna go? Don't you wanna ride on the big side? We're taking it higher and higher and higher and higher. That's the cure. We take good living to a whole nother level. Change your food, change your life. Change is good, good is right. We take good living to a whole nother level. Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're listening to the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm Dennis Weaver, your good food guide and founder of Change Your Food, Change Your Life, a fun, high-energy, good health edutainment company with song, story, and fun guests designed to inform, encourage, coach, and inspire you to make 100% organic good food choices, foods that are life-giving, not life-diminishing. Remember, eating good equals feeling good. That's the equation for the good life. That fun opening cut of Good Living you just heard is from our Change Your Food, Change Your Life presents Good Living, a compilation CD album, and its title track is performed by Anna Maria Paisley. It is the worldwide organic good food anthem with officially registered fans from Albania to Atlanta, New Zealand to Nevada, Mozambique to Montana. So the next time you hear it playing, stand. Our producer, D-Money, always does right here in the studio. Thank you. You can catch D-Money on his own show, Fresh Juice, on Wednesday nights, full of cool entertainers from all over the country. You can get yourself the Good Living CD at changeyourfoodchangeyourlife.com, changeyourfoodchangeyourlife.com. On the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show, we've had guests from all around the United States, Canada, Mexico, who talk, write, grow, mine, farm, police, buy, prepare, serve, make, teach, design, package, and sing about organic good food. They create organic cosmetics, advocate and lobby for organic good food. They read to children about organic good food. They talk about the good health of organic good food. They use organic good food as therapy. They juice organic good food fruit. They grow organic cotton T-shirts. I'm, of course, wearing one right now. They help with gluten-free choices, offer zero-waste package-free shopping. They lift spirits with organic floral essences and handcraft an organic sofa so soft you'll go, ah. Uncle Matt himself of Uncle Matt's Organic Juices, the Mistress of Mushrooms, the Healthy Human, the Rev, Miss Healthy Way, the Salt Miner, the Professor of Pickling, Miss Bear Life, and Sweet Bako Sweet, to name just a few of the previous guests on the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show, all working hard to make that healthful difference in your life. I've told you the story of Mary in China when the bean is not a bean, and I proved it costs less to live the organic good food life than not, and if that's not enough for you, we had the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show musical. You're listening to Dennis Weaver, good food guide and host of the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. On a previous Change Your Food, Change Your Life show, we introduced you to regeneratively farmed sea greens from the Atlantic Ocean. Today, we're going to bring you back on land with a collective of farmers, activists, scientists, educators, designers, and researchers known as DAR, Drylands Agroecology Research, whose good works are to regenerate the land and the life that it nurtures, for our life and that of Mother Earth. Through time-honored practices with the newest research and proven skills, DAR converts dirt to rich, healthy, life-giving, productive soils, without which we can't survive. So first, with my thanks, and now calling in from Longmont, Colorado, on the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains, the Director of Research for Drylands Agroecology Research, DAR himself, here's Nelson Heider-Kuhn.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much, Dennis, for having me today.
Looking forward to it. Welcome, Nelson, to the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Yeah, again, happy to be here. Happy to talk about soil and my nerdiness around all things ecosystems.
Well, you have quite the story to tell. That's why I invited you on. I introduced you calling in from Longmont, Colorado, on the front page of the Rocky Mountain, on the front range of the Rocky Mountains. Give us a little sense of terrain, climate, topography.
Yeah, so typically we have a pretty semi-dry climate. Topography, we're existing at about 7,000 feet in elevation, and terrain is just a mix of savanna and some forestry. So just quite a blend of all the things that Colorado likes to invite people to see.
Okay, Nelson, here's the question everyone has. What is dryland agroecology?
Well, Dennis, let me just start off with breaking those two words apart. So when we're talking about dry lands, we're talking about regions where water is limited. In fact, dry lands actually cover about 40% of the Earth's surface, and that number is growing as global water cycles and climate shift. When we talk about agroecology, this is a way of farming that works in a symbiotic relationship with nature instead of against it. It's really just like about understanding how plants, animals, people, water, and the environment all interact, and then designing food systems to support those connections. Instead of relying on a lot of outside inputs like synthetic fertilizers or herbicides, such as large-scale agriculture does, agroecology really focuses on using natural processes to build healthy soil, build biodiversity, conserve water, and create resilient food systems long-term. And so when we combine those two words together, we are applying this approach to dryland systems. For context, Boulder County gets about 21 inches of rain a year. Seattle gets around 37 inches of rain a year. And so we really have to look at the land in very different ways. It's important to farm in a way that works with and utilizes and prioritizes the land's health rather than consistently taking from it.
With that full and complete answer, I can see why you're titled Director of Research. What is agroforestry? That's a term, another term that we've heard here and there.
Yeah, so agroforestry is simply combining annual farming systems such as vegetables with permanent farming systems such as trees and shrubs.
So it's a combination of.
Yeah, and I would say typically for guests, great examples are coffee and chocolate, because agroforestry is typically used in more areas with consistent rainfall. And so coffee and chocolate serve as understory trees along other trees to make multiple systems of revenue for these farmers.
And similar to agroecology, it's a holistic approach.
Absolutely. And I would say agroforestry is under the umbrella term of agroecology.
Why was DAR, Drylands Agroecology Research, created?
Yeah, so, this question just really excites me because first and foremost, I just want to give cadence to the amazing people that I work with. Drylands Agroecology Research is a group of passionate individuals from different backgrounds who work together to change the way humanity really interacts with the world around us.
Are they all by the radio right now listening?
Some of them possibly. Yeah, we witness, as a collective, we really witness that modern society and unchecked capitalism has caused really a lot of damage to the environment, right? And so our land regeneration work is grounded in transforming lands deeply degraded by human use into new types of ecosystem that meets everyday needs of humanity. We really are trying to promote a paradigm shift of understanding that we are nature, right? We are protecting ourselves as nature, and we are nourishing and healing ourselves as nature.
So now what is the mission of DAR?
Yeah, so the mission, so when we talk about regenerating landscapes, the goal is really to create ecosystems that regenerate the water cycle, right? Fresh water is the most important for life on this planet. And so through this, our mission is really simple but powerful: to regenerate landscapes to improve life on Earth. Short,
but very important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because that mission statement could be well expanded for all that you're doing. You're listening to Nelson Heider-Kuhn, Research Director at DAR, turning dryland dirt into healthy soils for life on Earth. This is the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Why is DAR's work to reverse desertification and to restore arid and semi-arid land so important to us all?
Yeah, so, desertification is really a hidden crisis that's destabilizing communities all around the world. Today, 1/3 of the world's land is actually facing desertification. 110 countries on our planet deal with major soil degradation due to decades of unsustainable farming practices, really promoted by the Green Revolution. And so one of the biggest changes we as humans need to make is how we relate to the land and its ecosystems through this looming crisis, right? These very systems really just keep us alive, at the end of the day. And so our main goals are really to spark the shift of understanding. Desertification is human made, and we can also reverse that. We have that choice. So
the green revolution is almost an oxymoron, isn't it?
It really is. And I don't want to knock down all of the benefits that it had for many societies for decades, but it really has separated us from really being in relationship with nature and really commodifying nature.
So now comes DAR. When DAR's founder, Nick Domenico, reached out to the Natural Resource Conservation Service on how to restore some deeply degraded land to a farmable state, they advised him to find another piece of land. In not following their advice, Elk Run Farm has become a living experiment in how to restore degraded land in a semi-arid climate without irrigation to healthy, life-giving soil. Please tell the story of the Elk Run Farm successes.
Yeah, so Elk Run Farm began in 2015 when our founder, Nick, set out to farm 14 acres. His family bought this property, and upon seeing and moving onto the property was just extremely overgrazed. It had really low soil health and was going through desertification. Really the only source of irrigation that it still has can irrigate about 1 acre of the entire property. And so Nick moved down to South America and actually lived with First Nations people, worked with them, celebrated them, and learned techniques that could utilize water in an efficient way, which started this whole idea of planting agroforestry in dryland conditions without any water. And then to that point, 7 years later, these trees and shrubs that have been planted, we've found about a 74% survival rate of all of these trees, which is just the NRCS and USDA really look at that as impossible. And here we are doing that work.
What does Elk Run Farm look like?
Yeah.
Green and healthy and vibrant?
Yeah, so we have multiple sections in Elk Run Farm. One is called a forest garden, which we grow annual crops as well as trees that will one day turn into a forest. We also turned a parking lot into a grain field where we do dryland testing of all different types of grains and their resilience in dryland conditions. And then we have swales and berm systems or terracing systems on slope at the bottom end of the farm property itself, where we graze sheep in an agroforestry manner called silvopasture.
As one very famous singer sings, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. He might as well have been singing about Elk Run Farm.
Yeah, totally.
in arid and semi-arid climates, water and water retention is the limiting factor, as you said, in a landscape's ability to sequester carbon, support biodiversity, produce food, and perform other ecosystem services. I was intrigued with your ability to capture water with your swale systems. Yeah. Describe those swale systems and how they work and how they provide the necessary irrigation to trees and crops.
Yeah, well, swale and basin systems or terracing systems are actually used around the world. In Asia, communities use that for growing rice. In the Andean mountain range, the Maya and Aztec and Incan people actually use this technique to sustain their civilizations for hundreds of years. And so this is really a time-old system that we're just incorporating into the modern era. A swale and berm system is twofold. A swale is a shallow ditch that follows the natural curve or the contour of the land. And it's designed to catch rainwater before the rainwater moves off too quickly. And then the berm is really just a raised mound of dirt lower in elevation next to the swale. And it helps slow the water down and directs the water into the soil where it's needed most. And so the main goal of this system is really to capture and percolate water, allowing it to soak into the ground instead of running off. When it comes to agroforestry practices, this is really a unique technique. And throughout all of our 4 research sites, we've actually seen, again, between 70 and 80% survival rate over 20,000 trees. And so this shows great promise for multiple dryland conditions.
So instead of the rainwater running down hard pan dirt and away, you capture it in these channels.
Exactly.
And so it stops the water from running down the hard pan soil.
Yep.
And it becomes a reservoir for your planting of fruits, vegetables, and trees.
Absolutely. And depending on the type of slope, depending on other parameters, we change our management style to address those concerns. That way, the trees and shrubs that we plant really have the most opportune ability to survive and also thrive. And to note, we've actually started seeing a lot of these trees start to flower and fruit. So it's pretty awesome stuff there.
What an example. In your story of Elkhorn Farm, you mentioned desertification. Define that again.
Yeah, so desertification is really a simple term. So desertification is when land becomes degraded, meaning the soil loses its nutrients, topsoil is washed away, vegetation disappears. It's not a natural process, and it's mainly due to human activities and changes in the climate. When you see desertification, we really see also social and cultural instability as well. And the opposite of true. When you reverse desertification, these aspects become stable. A great example of this for people to research a little bit more into these types of systems is the Western Sahel Project on the Sahara Desert. This is a project that's been going and been funded by the United Nations since 2007 across 22 countries, pretty much regreening the entire bottom part of the largest desert in the world.
Well, desertification doesn't allow growth of fruits, vegetables, and all those things we need to live.
Exactly.
It's absent of. This is the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio World. And calling in from Longmont, Colorado, you're listening to Nelson Heider-Kuhn, Research Director at DAR, Drylands Agroecology Research, restoring degraded land to life-giving soil. How many projects is DAR working?
Yeah, so we have two big branches. So in terms of research, we have one study that is a 10-year study looking at how rotational grazing and the use of intentional livestock impacts carbon. And then the other is about understanding how these systems create influence overall agroecological health. We're also working to launch a 5-year hydrology study called Cascade, and this will help us see how well these systems perform. We're really looking to help all farmers that live in dryland environments, and livestock is really the backbone of Colorado's agriculture. So if we can work with farmers and implement these systems large scale, we could change the West in a really amazing way. In terms of our land stewardship, we typically collaborate with between 10 and 20 partners to implement terracing and agroforestry methods that rebuild soil, restore water cycles. And then in a cultural aspect, we actually used to have a cultural stewardship branch. And now as a team, we've realized that the truest way to express ourselves as an organization is to include cultural stewardship in our practices as we work with the landscape. So that looks like a food solidarity garden where we provide fresh produce for local food banks to support food insecurity efforts in our Boulder area. We also partner with Community Foods Midwife Collective to support ancestral postpartum care. And then on a larger scale, we work with the Wind River Reservation and Spirit of the Sun, both First Nations organizations and reservations, to strengthen food and seed sovereignty, cultural events, and regenerative community projects for First Nations people.
As director of research, is your day 28 hours? Is your day 20 hours instead of my 24?
I wish. Sometimes I tell my partner, I wish the day was 10 hours longer. No, one of the things that we also really focus on as a collective is, so much capitalism really inspired us to work and work and work. And as a collective, regenerating ourselves in our personal life is just as important as regenerating the landscape. Because if we don't have a healthy self, then we can't actually do the work.
I'm right there with you. Data points are always important to judge project progress, if goals are met. What metrics does DAR use to make those judgments?
Yeah, so first and foremost, observation is the cornerstone of DAR's work in designing landscapes that mimic nature's processes. Every thriving system begins with understanding the system. So the health of the soil is directly linked to that ecosystem, which allows us to develop informed site-specific management strategies. Our research tracks critical agroecosystem metrics from soil health, i.e. understanding the soil health's skeleton or structure, understanding its microbial diversity, and understanding how well a soil can recycle water and cycle nutrients. We also look past soil health as we analyze ecosystem and systems perspectives. So that looks like understanding insect monitoring and diversity populations. I've never really been an insect person until I started diving into soil and found that really insects are really intense indicators of environmental
And
stability.
play a critical role.
Yeah, they really do. And so changes in pollinator presence or pest outbreaks really signal shifts in the landscape, which helps us anticipate challenges. We also look at grassland soil cover, plant species diversity, carbon sequestration capacity, and then we monitor all of our agroforestry plantings by collecting data on survivability, growth rates. We develop breeding programs, and all of this research is to identify metrics within a systems approach, like I mentioned earlier, of the entirety of the agro-ecosystem.
I'm very, very impressed with the good works of DAR, more so than I was even by reviewing your work, website, et cetera, and our phone calls. I thank you so much.
Yeah.
We've just been given a sign by our producer that we're almost out of time. So with the last remaining moments after the show, Nelson, what's the one thing you'd like our audience to have remembered?
Yeah, so I am really inspired by a thought leader named Joanna Macy, who is a deep ecologist that has been around for quite a long time. And I just wanted to share a quote that I feel is relevant to our modern times. So this quote is, "Active hope is not wishful thinking. It is not waiting to be rescued by the Lone Ranger or by some savior. Active hope is waking up to the beauty of life on whose behalf we can act when we act now."
Would you be so kind as to, after the show, send me that quote?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Well, thank you so much, Nelson, for the show today and for the good works of DAR in regenerating degraded landscapes to improve life on Earth. I think the audience sends its thanks, too.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited about this collaboration. And yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're here to
My
do the work.
pleasure.
So
Go to dar.eco, dar.eco. There are beautiful photos of what we talked about today, especially the before and after photos of Elk Run Farm. You can see Nelson and the whole team it takes to fill the DAR mission for life on Earth. Subscribe to the DAR newsletter and stay current with DAR's movement to replenish agricultural systems, restoring our planet to a thriving state. Again, that's dar.eco, dar.eco. Does the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio World bring you the most interesting guests or what? This time it's Nelson Heider-Kuhn at DAR working hard to convert dirt to healthy soil for our good health. Don't ever miss an episode of the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show, or you'll be sorry and you won't be as smart and healthy as you could be. Thank you again, Nelson.
thank you.
The next time I'm in semi-arid eastern Washington, I'll think, what could be with DAR?
Oh, that's great. We'll be thinking about you as well.
You've been listening to Nelson Heider-Kuhn of DAR, Drylands Agroecology Research. This is the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio World. In the weeks following, sometimes you'll spend the full half hour with me, your good food guide, and other times with a live studio guest and calling guests as Nelson did today. Coming up, more organic good food stars and their stories. Maybe the return of the tea master, and yes, of course, we're still waiting for her, our internationally acclaimed designer, darling Nita Morgan-Jones, when she returns from London to Hollywood. She's getting closer. Was in the south of France for a while, collaborating with an Italian designer. Organic good food has its glam, Check out Nina's rompboutique.com. Yeah, that's rompboutique.com. She sent me a note from London about a new collection with pictures. Romp and roll, baby. And as Nina says, stay wild and organic. In the meantime, feel free to call me, your good food guide, Dennis, at 425-774-8971, 425-774-8971, or email changeyourfood@hotmail.com, changeyourfood@hotmail.com. Follow me on X at changeyourfood. You can get yourself a copy of the songs you've heard today, Good Living, and As We Go Out, Go Oh, on our Good Living compilation CD album at changeyourfoodchangeyourlife.com, changeyourfoodchangeyourlife.com. There are 16 tracks on the CD, 16 songs that celebrate the joy organic good food brings to life: jazz, pop, rap, gospel, blues. You can exercise to it, dance to it, sing to it, shop to it, barbecue to it, eat to it, drink to it, learn to it, lift up your day to it, be inspired by it. It has many diverse voices coming together, but with one message. Our Change Your Food, Change Your Life artist ambassadors hope that one of their songs catches your ear and makes that healthful difference in your life. Songs from our Good Living CD are playing 24/7 in every country in the world, 195 countries, attracting officially registered fans from around the world. That's never been done before. That's history made, period. You've been listening to Dennis Weaver, host of the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show and Good Food Guide on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, along with Nelson Heider-Kuhn, calling in from Longmont, Colorado, talking about Drylands Agroecology Research and its work in converting degraded lands into life-giving soil. And be sure to get yourself the hot new Rainier Avenue World app so you can take Nelson and me with you. And it's free: videos, live broadcasts, and all the radio shows wherever you are. Change your food, change your life. Begin living the organic good food life, and the rest of your life just may be the best of your life. You'll have no anxiety. You'll feel better than when you began. You'll probably look better, have more energy, and be a few pounds lighter. Well, I want to change your food, change your life forever. Honor yourself by making 100% organic good food choices. And if you do, over the years, you'll thank yourself for having made that decision. I'm Dennis Weaver, and we wish each and every one of you in the audience our very, very best, and that you may find your good health and happiness as we have. Thank you for listening. O's up to your health.